Righto. Now, John has to leave early, so I might just get him to give us a very quick update on where he's at. If you don't mind, please, John.
Yeah, as I said to Ned a little earlier, I recently had a review after having a PET scan, and I'm all clear. My PSA remains undetectable, and my oncologist is very happy with, so it's steady as she goes.
And John, just to remind anyone that hasn't seen previous videos, how long have you been on ADT?
Must be coming up to about 4 years now.
Yeah, good.
So actually might even be a bit longer, might be 4.5 years. Yeah.
And you feel well?
Yeah, generally, yes. Yeah, I struggle with fatigue. I sort of put up with the hot flushes, but yeah, it keeps me alive, so that's all I worry about.
Yeah, yeah, and you can still do things you want to do, like travel and everything. So that's all good. Yeah, that's all good. Yeah, yeah.
No
Thanks.
dramas.
Any questions to John?
Just a quickie. I may be out of date, but not having tuned in before. But you've had no metastatic escape at all, John, or have you?
Oh yeah. I've had a whole range of treatments. Started off. I'll give you a quick recap on where it all started. I got diagnosed in 2015 and had a radical, and they thought they'd caught it, but about a few months later, I had another test and my PSA was still up. So, off to have PET scans and things. And I then joined a trial at Epworth to have stereotactic radiation. And they found that it had spread to some, I think, 4 lymph nodes. And to be in the trial, I had to have less than 5 Mets. So they treated those 4. And then I got 3 more, one in the rib bone. So this went on for probably 18 months, 2 years. And then I got to a point where I had too many Mets to stay in the trial. So they kicked me off that and referred me on to an oncologist. So he then sent me off to have some more testing, and I had another PET scan at that stage, and he sort of spotted something in the brain, and he wasn't quite sure what that would be. So he sent me off for like a second opinion, if you like. And when the second opinion oncologist saw that, he sort of said, I think you need to go and see a neurologist. So I had an MRI, and they found a spot which was then treated with the radiation again. And then I then started chemo and ADT, and did that for, I went for 5 rounds rather than 6 because I started to get tingling in my hands and feet. And I knew from my wife's experience, who had bowel cancer, that that's a sure sign of having neuropathy. So I elected to stop at 5 rather than go the full course. So I stayed on ADT, and about 3 years ago, the spot I keep having PET scans every 6 months. So 3 years ago, they sort of noticed that there was something happening with that spot in the head, and they decided that the only way they would really find out for sure what that was to go in and take a biopsy. So I did that reluctantly, and then they did another MRI, and the doctor came back and said sheepishly, "We've got to do it again because I missed it." Oh. So he did it again and found out that it was actually radiation necrosis, and just something that they monitor now. But since then, I've kind of shied away from trying to see doctors, but I'm okay.
Okay, well, thanks for the background, John. That really helps. It's, you've been having an interesting trip.
Yeah, yeah. Can't say it's been fun, but I'm still here.
At the moment, your PSA is
undetectable.
Undetectable. You can't argue with that. That's fantastic. Yeah. Thanks, mate.
Okay. Anybody else? Yep.
I've also got to go early, so I thought I'd speak earlier on. I've only been here once before, but I was, just to recap, I was diagnosed in 2001, which is like 22 years ago, with PSA of 67. I had a high-dose rate brachytherapy and HDT, but I've had all sorts of, since then, it's never gone away. I've had all sorts of things, chemotherapy, radiation therapy, a couple of times, and always managed to keep the PSA down. But you know, whatever I've done has worked for a time. So I've been fortunate that way. I've got a lot of friends who didn't work so well. I'm on enzalutamide now, and then recently I was diagnosed with bladder cancer, and I've had the bladder removed about 2 months ago, and that helped my PSA too. It's under 0.02, but it's always been, I've always managed to keep it low. So now I'm pretty much recovered from the bladder cancer, which is a bit of a 5-hour operation. It's a bit of a scene. But as I said, I've had all sorts of treatments. I was on hormone therapy for pretty much 10 years. And what else have I done? Tried all sorts of things, really, including thalidomide, which was something that a doctor from the US recommended for a while. That didn't handle that very well. But anyway, I'm still here, and lost quite a few of my friends in the meantime, in the 20-odd years to this disease. But so far, so good. Still, as I said, they seem to have all that. They said the margins were good for the bladder cancer. Get another review on that in a couple of months. So here I am. That's the short version.
Thanks for that, Charles. You're still short of Joel Novak in USA. He's had 5 primary cancers, so you've still got 3 to go to catch him up. So,
have I? Well, the oncologist is pretty amazed at me.
Any questions to Charles or comments?
Oh, just a quick comment. That's that a few of us on this in this group that are 20 years up. So
okay,
cancer is by no means a an automatically instantaneously lethal disease. You can certainly fight back, as you've been very successfully doing. Congratulations! It's great to see you're still ahead of the game.
Yeah, it's good. Can only keep going.
I've got a second cancer, a thyroid cancer, which has crept into the scene. So I kind of know what you mean about having to keep a few balls in the air at once.
Yeah, there's that, and there's bowel cancer. I try to keep an eye on that every year or 2 years. That's a big one for prostate cancer guys, who, especially if they've had radiation, like I have.
Yeah. All the best, Charles. And any other questions or comments, Charles?
The only thing I would say is that if people aren't doing it, they should be looking at doing Xgeva for their. I had a bisphosphonate very early when I was first diagnosed, in the hope that it would be would help deter the cancer going to the bones. There was nothing to support that, but there was nothing to not support that. And my oncologist agreed to do it. And I've been doing it ever since, every month, basically, a bisphosphonate, or now I'm doing Xgeva. And, when the cancer was still there, I thought it wasn't working. But now, because there has been no detectable cancer in my bones, I just wonder whether that has helped a lot,
I think the primary value of the Xgeva, which I'm really glad you mentioned, a lot of people don't know about it or forget to check. It's really to do with maintaining your bone density, making sure you don't get any spinal cord compression and that sort of thing, which was certainly quite a good way of killing you. So, it's great that you're on that. I'm very glad you raised it in this forum.
Yeah, I had a friend who had prostate cancer and didn't die so much from the prostate cancer as from the brittle bones that he had, and didn't take any bisphosphonate or anything for it. And, he would just move and break a bone. And in the end, that's what he died from, So his son put me onto the bisphosphonates at that time, which was, I forget the name of them, 20 years ago. They've changed. Every year, every now and again, a new one comes out, which is supposed to be bigger and better. And then the current one is Xgeva, which is an easy one to take. They say once every 6 months or a year, it combats the decrease in the bone density. But as I said, I've been having them every month.
I think the point about Xgeva or Denosumab is that if you've got bone mets, your bone can become brittle at those points, and that's why they give you the higher dose Xgeva. If you're having ATT and you've got a risk of lower bone density, you would normally have Prolia, which is a lower dose Denosumab, every 6 months.
Yeah, I see. No, I've had it every year, every month, pretty much for 20 years, or a version of it.
Yes, Yanni.
I take
Welcome, Yanni.
alendronate acetate in the form of a pill every week as my bone remedial medication. And I believe that's right at the bottom of the chain of strength, if you like.
Okay.
Rod, he's got from Taree. He's been on a couple of times, and he had extensive Mets when he was diagnosed, and he has a Xgeva monthly to help his bones. So I have a Prolia one every 6 months, but Prolia is just for bone mineral density. But the Xgeva, the idea is it's a help with keep your bones healthier with the prostate cancer, I believe. So, yeah. So, Dirk, if you've got extensive Mets, I'd be certainly, and you don't need to talk to an oncologist, I wouldn't have thought. I would have thought your doctor, your GP would be able to give you a script for Xgeva, Denosumab, on every month. So he would.
Trouble is, most GPs aren't familiar with a lot of things to do with prostate cancer, I found.
Yeah, they should be familiar with Xgeva because...
Well, they should be, shouldn't they?
With lots of women with breast cancer would be involved with Xgeva, I would have thought.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think the way that works is that you would normally need the specialist to provide the initial prescription for Xgeva or any other cancer med for that matter, and after that the GP can
follow on,
keep it going. So,
and they can administer it also.
Yeah, that's for sure. So yeah, I think it's just the first time that most GPs would want to get authorization from the medical oncologist.
Well, although I've had it that they didn't need to. They've just if there used to be an authority needed, and they'd ring up themselves. But I don't think you even need an authority now. You just need a script.
Alan, did you want to say something? Or sorry,
already said.
Yes, right. Thank you. Today,
can I just say one thing on all that?
Yeah.
one of the oncologists I saw about halfway through my treatment, and I asked him what was the biggest problem he found, and then he said that was his, he would see a patient and they wouldn't go with what he'd doing. They'd decide to go to some alternative treatment, and he said the big problem was they'd come back when that didn't work, and there's very little he could do for them, and it was very, very distressing for him. So and over the years I've had friends, and I've tried lots of things myself, who have tried different things. And but one stage at the Gold Coast prostate cancer support group, someone would bring up something and we'd say, well, try it and come back next month and let me know how you're doing. And invariably nothing was working out of any of those different alternative treatments. So I'm a bit skeptical myself, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, thanks, Charles.
Thanks.
No other comment yet? No other comments to questions? Ian, would you like to give us an update on your progress?
Yeah, this is my first time on, and so I'm 5 years and 9 months in, and they only found that I had prostate cancer through a workplace incident. And so when they scanned me for broken bones, CT scans, they come back to me and said, no broken bones, but we need to speak about what we did find, which was a body full of metastatic cancer. So urgent bloods, PSA came back at 400. And I was transferred from Northern to St. John of God Subiaco in Perth, and the oncology, Dr. Andrew Dean, I was under him. I was in the Bendat Cancer Centre cancer ward for 3 months, and on docetaxel every 21 days. They stopped that and done 5 rounds of radiation, and then after a week went back on the docetaxel. In May I got discharged and had a further rounds of radiation, but I was going home and to Cal and then flying back to Perth, and that ended on the 7th of August. The lowest the PSA got to was 0.04, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride mentally. So the guys were talking about Denosumab. I've been on Denosumab the whole time, every month, injection in the stomach. As far as the calcium goes, I also take, I was put on Caltrate 600 and 2 tablets 4 times a day. I take bicalutamide. I was on Genista until the government pulled it out. So I'm on dilaudid, 8 milligrams 4 times a day, MS-Contin 5 milligrams twice a day, osteomol, and temazepam, quetiapine. Anyway, so that's the lowest it's been. It's now back to, it's climbed up to 16. And my first meeting with Dr. Joshi in Townsville, he's put me on Xtandi. I don't know if any of the guys are on that. I believe it is a tablet form capsule in chemo. So we'll see how that goes. But up until moving over here, I had a casual job. I wasn't allowed to go back to my, I was declared medically unfit for what I used to do, which was long distance truck driver. And so I'm a car fan, so I've worked for Repco and Supercheap Auto. In I'm just going to settle down here first, and I'll go back to work. But Dr. Dean, he commented on my state of mind. He said if I could keep my mindset going, then he believed he could keep me alive for many years. So mindset's a key thing as well. But so mine went, when they discovered it, it was in the spinal upper and lower thoracic, pelvis, ribs. I've had 2 pathological fractures in the ribs, and I'm just getting over a pathological break in the 7th rear rib. One of the guys mentioned neuropathy. I started getting that last year, and the Cal pharmacy that I dealt with solely, Oliver, he was a compounding chemist, and he produces a product called PEA. And that, over a period of time, that reduced the neuropathy. But I've actually tried PEA that you can buy off the shelf in the chemist, and it is not the same. It is a weaker version. The only reason we moved from Cal to here was my wife's mother's partner passed away, and Wendy was over here at the time. So we made the decision to, because she wanted to look after her mum, so we made the decision to move back to Charters Towers. I lived in Townsville from 1976 to 2016. I was in Cal for 7 years. That's pretty much about it, I think, on a scheme of things. Yeah.
Thanks, Ian. Does anybody want to offer Ian what might happen when he starts Xtandi? What he can expect? Does anyone want to give him a clue? Yes, Shani?
Ian, I've been on Xtandi for the last 5-6 years, and it's together with so that's the 2nd generation hormone treatment, together with the 1st generation hormone treatment, which is currently diferoline, also known as triptyroline. But the Xtandi has managed to keep me my PSA at sub 0.010 for that time. So I think you should be able to find it will be quite successful for you for an extended period of time. The side effects really are just ongoing fatigue, hot flashes, and for me, and for a bit of brain fog from time to time. But it's to my mind proven to be very good, easy to take. I mean, some people find it difficult to. I think Tony Sheehan finds it difficult to swallow the pills.
Yes.
No,
Or tablets. So I've been on it since November 6th. I started it, and so I'm on my 2nd box now. And in the first week, I was having headaches, which I then ran Icon to see about that, and they said if I could endure it for the first week, it would then go away, which it did. The other thing with it was, yes, the fatigue, and that is slowly dissipating. The other treatment that I forgot to say is, since every 4 months I've been on Lucrin, which is a hormone blocker, hormone therapy, and I've been on that the whole 5 years and 9 months, and that's every 4 months. At the moment, it's 3, and I think, if I remember correctly, Dr. Joshy is going to keep it at 3 months. But that's thanks, Jan. That is good news.
Sorry, Al, just one other thing. To complement my regime of pills, I also take a statin, Crestor, because it keeps cholesterol down, and that has a reported side effect of assisting in this whole process.
Yeah.
And I also take 500 grams of milligrams. Anyway, a small metformin tablet.
Oh, yeah.
So you might want to consider those.
Okay, so I am on a rovastatin, and that's a Flexor. I just I've got my little list here. So I'm on Caltrate 600, dilaudid, mirtazapine, MS-Contin, osteomol, temazepam, quetiapine, rovastatin, and that's plus the injections. The Denosumab is once a month, 120 milligrams, and the Lucron is at this stage now it's every 3 months, and the Xtandi I take at 10:30 every day. And you're right, those capsules, mini horse tablet. But I'm still pretty active. I also caffeine, so I've got 3 cars. One's a daily driver, the other one's a FPV GT, and I've got a 69 Mach 1 Mustang, which I work on, so that keeps me going as well. You've got my thing is and it's hard to do, but you got to, okay, you've got I don't know, where noose hanging over your head or whatever, but just keep doing it. Take one day at a time and just keep positive.
Thanks, Ian. Did you have a question, Charles, or not?
Oh, just something to add about enzalutamide or Xtandi. I've been on it for about 7 years now. I'm not on any other HDT. I find that it's very effective for a lot of guys, but some people it doesn't work at all. I had a friend who only worked for a month, and then PSA started climbing again. But I would do it until my PSA got down to very low, under 0.01 or whatever, 0.1 or something, whatever it was. And then I talked to my oncologist about decreasing the dose. So for a time there, I only had 2 tablets a day rather than the 4, with his blessing. And then I increased it when things started to go up a bit. I increased it to 3 and then increased it to 4 again. And then now I'm on. It's gone down again, so I'm currently on 3 tablets a day. So if you have an oncologist or a urologist, whoever's dealing with it, it is possible to reduce those tablets and still get a good result from it. I find. That was all I wanted to say.
Thank you for that. And Dr. Joshi has told me that see how things go, and it could be reduced. So that backs up what Dr. Joshi told me. So thanks, Charles.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it without the blessing of your person administering it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Charles. Welcome, Lidnam. I don't think I welcomed you either, Tony Sheehan, but welcome. You're a bit belated, but welcome. Rightio. Any other? Yes, Alan.
So, Charles, thanks for that comment about the reducing the enzalutamide. It's kind of a bit similar to what people earlier in their prostate journey do, called intermittent hormone therapy. It's quite viable to do. You tend to find that over a period, you start to get lesser and lesser periods when you are off it. But it's certainly a very viable thing to talk to your oncologist about with second generation ADT like enzalutamide or abiraterone. I'm just thinking, Ian, if you might want to make some inquiries about lutetium treatment. I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but there's a whole raft of new radiopharmaceutical developments. Most widely used one at present is Lutetium-177, administered by a nuclear medicine specialist in a restricted number of major hospitals. It can be dramatic in its effect. It's not necessarily permanent, and there are some really good looking trials coming along which have the potential of making that sort of treatment more effective using other radioactive materials like actinium. So it's just a thought. You might want to have a chat to your medical oncologist about lutetium, and it's a systemic treatment. It's something that it's a bit like a cruise missile. It's search and destroy. It's very specific for, very specific cancer cells. If you like 2/3 or more of people are, if your cancer cells have an enzyme on the surface called PSMA, this stuff will seek that out, and that alone, almost alone, and destroy it. So it's a PSMA PET scan, which I think you made reference to, will certainly tell you if you have got that potential for lutetium treatment, and it's just one to follow. The other one I'd mention is the importance of exercise. It's if you've been a truckie for a long time, you may be a bit short on because you do a hell of a lot of time sitting for long distance truck driving. But exercises, particularly of the kind that is called resistance training, where you're lifting weights or pushing on elastic or pushing up your own body weight, that put pressure on your bones, is a really good way of helping to keep your bones healthy. There's some really good medical evidence for that. So I suggest you may want to look into both those. Your oncologist should be aware of both of them and see what happens. But you're having a trip, that's for sure. The third one I just quickly mentioned is looking after your mental health. That's really is important. And the fact that you're getting stuck into that Mustang sounds like a lot of fun. The more you can get involved with other people as well in some or multiple ways, the better, because they have an interesting habit of jollying you out of sadness. And so the more you're able to do that, the better you'll feel.
Yeah, the Mustang's actually on its way from Kel as we speak. The other two cars are here. In the new year, I'm going to approach Repco, see if they need any casual staff. Dr. Dean. What's
Oh, you can see my red face.
Jim looks guilty.
Keep going.
What
WTF, Jim?
Sorry, Ian, you can keep going.
Yeah, so I'll be looking for a casual job in the new year, get back into that, and interacting with the public in a workplace situation mechanically wise, I'm reasonably pretty good at. I do most of my own work, so I get enjoyment out of that. Yeah, when we had our own transport business in Queensland, out of Townsville, run a Townsville Mount Isa from 2000 to 2015, but the economy in this state went to the dogs in 2014, and the freight really started to dry up, so we shut our business down. 2016, I got a job with Toll Mining in Western Australia, doing going out of Kalgoorlie down to Perth to Kwinana, actually, loading up ammonium nitrate in pocket road train and delivering that to certain mines. So that's a quick brief of the recent work history. But
well, maybe when you get the Mustang, see if you can join a car club. You know, that a few other people, like-minded people, can share the fun with you.
Yeah, they all seem to start up in the new year. They've all had their Christmas. Apparently, I've already inquired on that. There's Charters Towers Restorers Club, and there's another one or two. So getting hold of the other one or two seems to be a bit harder. But I've had a chat to the guys of the Restorers Club, but I'd like to have a chat to the other ones as well and make a choice from that.
You're on the money. That sounds good. Thanks for that, Ian.
Yeah, right. With the mental health side of it, I do telehealth with. I've got a psychologist in Cal that I've dealt with for nearly the 5 years, and she knows me inside out. So we have about once a month we have a hookup, and because we've got that, what would you say, tenure of meetings, I decided to instead of trying to find someone new over here, just to do the telehealth. So that means that next year, around October, November, I've actually got to go back to Cal for a few days or a week.
With all that, you're ahead of the game, Ian. That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Thanks, Ian. All the very best, and good to see you.
Thank you.
Rightio. John Basuma, he's an apology for today. He's got an appointment with Declan Murphy this morning, so I reckon that'll be a good outcome for him. Declan should be able to help him. If anyone can help him, Declan will be able to help him.
Sorry, this is Charles. This is Charles. I've got to leave for a doctor's appointment as well. So, thank you very much, guys. It's been great.
Thanks, Charles.
So send me that reminder every month.
Righto, no worries.
If you can.
They do. Righto. Lidnan, have you got anything to add to your story today or not?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I've got something. I just remind you of my case. I was diagnosed 3 years ago, and Jim asked me last time about my score. It's 4 plus 5, which is 9. And I've done the radiotherapy, hormone, brachytherapy, all of this. This is 3 years ago. 6 months ago, it recurred. So my main problem that if I want to do the operation to remove the prostate or not. And because I've done the radiotherapy, they told me there will be a lot of permanent side effect. And anyway, my PSA was 2.1 last month. I've seen my specialist, and I started hormone. This is last month, and I noticed that I've done the PSA after I started the hormone I noticed that my PSA increased to 3.5 in 1 month. Now I decided to do the operation to remove the prostate. And at the moment, I'm waiting for the hospital to contact me to arrange the time when I should do it. Yeah, this is the time. Sorry, one thing. I would like to thank you, Alan, for the great conversation with you last month. Thank you so much.
Jim?
Yeah, sorry.
Talking about side effects. Side effects of radiation usually cause no ill effects with urinary problems. However, if you use, if you have an operation afterwards, you score very strongly in the side effects. Urinary side effects with an operation afterwards that you're talking about is usually about 85%. I always like to make sure that people aren't confusing the side effects of a later operation, radiation effects on a radiation side effects on a later operation with side effects of radiation as initial treatment, which for urinary tract is almost nil. Thanks, Nev.
All right.
Thanks, Jim. Yanni?
I'd just like to make the point, Lidnan, that if you've just started hormone treatment and your PSA went up, that's not unusual at all, because typically the vast majority of hormone treatments commence the whole process by overproducing testosterone, which forces the PSA to go up, but then it exhausts the ability of the testes to produce more testosterone.
Yeah, let me mention something, that testosterone went down from 12 to 4.5. I'm using Lucrane for 3 months, 22.5.
Yeah, well, Lupron is one of the first generation hormone treatments. There is another one called Degarelix Firmagon, which does not have that initial ramp up, and it just cuts down immediately because it works in a different way. It interrupts the messages from the brain to the testes to stop production. So perhaps before you embark on the surgery, you might give that a crack, because at the PSA level you're at,
yes,
it's not particularly high, and you might be pleasantly surprised.
Alan? Alan wants to say something, Lidnan? Yes, Alan?
I completely agree with what Yanni has said. It kind of echoes what you and I talked about. I don't think I mentioned the fact that you may get flare, this initial increase with PSA, when you start ADT, but as Yanni said, that's quite normal. It only lasts for a very short time, and it doesn't mean anything as far as your cancer is concerned. It's simply the PSA itself, which is temporary. When you've got radiation essentially hardening, as you've got, I think you did mention to me you had some hardening of the bladder as well. The risk of really heavy duty incontinence is quite major. And although I totally understand the mindset that says, look, I want to get this over and done with, I want to get it out, that's quite understandable. And a lot of guys have that reaction, even when they're less pressed than you are. But it is worth pausing, I think, as Yanni suggests. If you go from the frying pan into the fire with really heavy incontinence that you can't really manage, your life will be bloody miserable. And I think it's still a possibility that you need to go that way, but I would be certainly exploring the alternatives before you do, even though you've made an inquiry with the hospital. There's absolutely no problem with a PSA that you have in deferring treatment for enough time to really assess the effect of the ADT on your PSA and therefore on your cancer. You don't have to feel as though you have to rush in and get it removed. It's not medically all that of a crisis. So I just think it's your decision, obviously, and you want to make it with an oncologist who understands what we've been talking about, and most of them will. I think we talked about the fact that you were going to get a second opinion from another oncologist about the balance between the incontinence risk and the benefit to your cancer of an RP. And still, if you haven't done that, I still think it's a pretty good idea. And the other question is that maybe, it's a bit early to say, but it could be that you could move on to other treatments along with the leukerin, such as has been mentioned today, Xtandi or enzalutamide, or alternatively abiraterone or Zytiga. Both of those are where you've got metastatic disease, particularly would be common.
Thank you.
But it's just
apologies
I just wouldn't be too much
getting on here late.
Because
I had to have my nana nap, even though it's early in the morning. I had an initial flare up when I started on hormone therapy back in February 2020, but they didn't remove the prostate because it had already spread. Now, probably contrary to what Jim has said, the radiation did affect initially my bowel. I had radiation proctitis 12 months after I finished radiotherapy. And 12 months after that, it affected my bladder with a hardening of the bladder wall. So much so that I was using 8 adult pull-ups every day. I've had the artificial urinary sphincter inserted back in August. I had another Botox round 5 weeks ago. I had my post-op appointment this Tuesday. Urologist is very happy with the progress. I still get stress leakage depending upon if I pick up something heavy or if I twist something or if I sit on a hard chair or something like that. But he said, well, that's going to be a fact of life for the rest of my time. Now, I have had a TERT, that was 12 months ago, but initially they didn't do anything with the prostate because it had already escaped. So I don't know whether that helps Lidnan at all.
Tony Sheehan?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something to Lyndon about the side effects of prostatectomy, which is what he's contemplating. I had mine removed back in 2005, going on 18 years ago now. And from day one with that, I was impotent and also had incontinence. Thankfully, I've been able to get the incontinence under control, but the impotence, that's wiped out my sex life. But, you know, that's a decision that you need to make before you agree to have that procedure done.
Thanks, Tony. Any other comments? Jim?
Just a general comment. Those of us who are very much evidence-based are very aware that we're talking about the balance of the numbers. So there's always some people at one end of the scale that we might be saying, you know, that's not a good idea, but it's generally not a good idea compared to the first half of the study. So there will be outliers with anything that we talk about, but those of us who are evidence-based are looking first to see if we can see what the evidence mostly says. As I said, that 85% with incontinence, strong incontinence after this later operation, that means that there were 15% who may or may not have, or probably possibly didn't get that strong incontinence. So there's always outliers. Thanks, Nev.
Thanks, Jim. Any other questions or comments to Lidnan?
I think in Lidman's case, his urologist was very pessimistic about a good outcome of surgery. So because of, you know, the incontinence risk post-radiation.
Thanks, Alan. You've got a bit of thinking to do, Lidnam. Yeah, you're on mute.
Yeah. The problem that to have a second opinion, that this decision to have this operation by the urologist and oncologist, they have a team, and this team decide that I have to do the operation. Now, if I go to second opinion, it might go to one of those teams. In the area where I have all those oncologists and all those urologists. They are working, most of them, in the same hospital. So they make the decision as a team. So if I go to another opinion, this other opinion may be one of those teams, most likely.
Well, maybe, Lidman, you should go somewhere else. I mean, you know, where you're not affected by the brotherhood. I mean, it is an important thing to have an objective opinion about. I guess from the point of view of minimising your prostate cancer, you'd have it out. No, I wouldn't argue with that. But if the cost is severe incontinence, you might think again. So I just think another opinion at this point, without feeling you have to be rushed into it simply because of where you're living, you know, is a bit light on, in my opinion.
Thanks, Alan.
Thank you.
Any other questions?